Hello, in this bike maintenance video I am going to show you how you can use this cable straw to create robust sealed gear cable systems for your bike, which will give maintenance free, smooth running shifting for years. A 100% waterproof, dirt proof upgrade for just a few quid. Easily stuffable. The same mount you get in the box. This cable straw, or alternatively known as cable housing liner, a Teflon tube, very thin, used with your existing cable housing and a few other things that I will introduce in a moment, can turn gear maintenance from being very annoying to one of sheer satisfaction. Satisfaction in knowing you have built your own far better gear cable system suited to your bike. It can be used on most bikes that employ a derailleur gear system. This easy DIY project is for derailleur systems where some parts of the inner gear cable are exposed to the elements. It's suitable for any bike that uses a standard 1.1mm or 1.3mm braided inner gear cable. So if you're running either SRAM or Shimano gears, then you're ready to go with this project. Now, thankfully, today most high-end bike manufacturers are selling their mid to high quality gravel or mountain bikes with fully housed gear cable runs from end to end, which is great, but there's still a lot of bikes out there with exposed gear cables. And there's another big but with even those closed cable systems. And that but is, those bikes, though while fully closed, which is brilliant, still have one flaw, an Achilles heel which will still allow dirt to get in and ruin the shifting of your bike. You know, that bit of cable that exits the gear cable housing and runs to the gear mech's anchor bolt. So later in this video I will show you something that you can use to make all gear cable systems on all bikes 100% dirt proof, waterproof, fully closed systems. First, let me run over some typical problem points that some bikes may have depending on how the bike's frame is built and the running of the shifting gear cables from one end of the bike to the other. I'm going to use my ride to work bike as an example of a typical bike that has exposed inner gear cable runs. As you can see, this bike is still covered in grit from my last ride out. And you may have noticed that this bike is not running a derailleur gear setup as you would expect. It used to. It is now running a roll-off 14-speed internal gear hub with a 100% closed gear cable from end to end. For the purposes of this video, you can completely ignore that superior gear system and imagine it needs fitting with a prone mainstream derailleur gear setup instead. This bike frame is a on-one 456 carbon with gear cable lugs here and here, which means when fitted with derailleur gear setup, the gear cables would run like this. So we have one gear cable run from the handlebar to the rear mech along here. As you can see, this rear mech cable runs on the rear seat stay, and that's going to be a shifting nightmare waiting to happen. And the other gear cable for the front mech goes from the handlebar along here and here, and the inner cable exits and goes down to where the front mech would be. Got to give On1 credit for the amount of cable lugs on this frame. It allows for a lot of different routing options. Now, dirt ingress on that front mech's cable run, as you have probably experienced yourself, is not a major issue when compared to what could go wrong with the dirt on a rear mech cable. But I will show you what I did to ensure the front shifting did not have any problems over the years. So besides the cable straw, what else do we need to make the gear cable runs on this bike fully enclosed and so 100% dirt proof? Well, just these. As many as you need for each cable mount point on your bike's frame. For this bike we need 6 and another 2 for the exit points to the mechs. These are Shimano gear cable SP40 sealed cap and tongue outer cable ends. These are meant to be used on bikes with this type of exposed gear cable run, though I've rarely seen these fitted on any bikes, let alone new bikes. And when I have used them, they have not worked as well as I'd hoped, but all that's about to change. We're only going to use this part, the cable end cap with that nose tongue, with the cable straw to make a closed cable system. That is it, it's that simple. The bonus extra to address the dirt ingress that will occur here, I will be getting into a little bit later. But first let me demonstrate how to build a closed gear cable run using this cable straw, the cable cap and existing gear housing cable that comes with your bike. So I want to convert this example exposed cable run into something like this, a closed cable run. The first thing to do is establish the straw fits the end cap tube securely. This is the most important part to this closed system. This cable straw has an internal diameter that matches the outer diameter of the nose tube. It's important you get that right. This may mean the straw liner does need some persuasion to slip onto that nose tube. There may be a notch on the end of the cap's nose tube to hold the rubber shield on. If there is one, then we need to take that notch off to ensure the nose is completely round and smooth. When the cable straw is fitted, it should be tight enough to remain in place. This tight fit ensures the interface between the two is waterproof. So I'm just going to create an example of a sealed cable run which would fit between the cable lugs on the bike frame. So take your existing gear cable housing and replace the end cable caps with the ones with a nose. Thread the gear cable through one as you would on a frame. Insert this section of straw liner which fits between the two lugs. Then thread the remainder of the inner cable onto the next section of the outer housing like so. So using this example straw cable, to build the real thing, do the same again but with a standard gear cable setup, ensuring the housing and the straw sections fit between the gear cable lugs. A handy tip to get the optimum length of cable straw to fit between two cable lugs. I fit the straw to one end like this and then run the inner cable through and line up the other end here. This ensures the straw is straight and the length is accurate. I then cut the straw so it's a couple of millimeters short of its maximum possible length between the two lugs. So that is how to construct a fully closed gear cable run using the cable straw. For the overly long exposed section of gear cable running to the front mech from the last lug, I want to shield this too, as I said before, to stop dirt ingress and reaching the gear outer housing cable further around from the frame. This is how I shielded this section of the gear cable. Again, I used an end cap with a nose tube and fitted a length of straw right down to where the front mech anchor bolt would be. The length of that straw liner is just short of what is necessary to allow the cable to move and operate the front mech. So while not a sealed cable system in the true sense of the word, I found it's worked really well at keeping the dirt out of that front mech shifting cable, and it's run smoothly for many years. It's surprising how clean it remains. Now back to the rear mech and the exposed section of gear cable running from here to here. While this sealed cable system that we've just put together is very good at keeping the shifting running smoothly way longer than what we've had before, it's still not perfect. Dirt can still get in here and work its way round to this very immediate cable bend and cause friction and wear of the inner lining of the housing cable. When that happens, it means changing the section of outer housing, or if you have a completely closed system, the full length of the cable from one end of the bike to the other. A waste, and it's not necessary. So to stop this grief and make it 100% sealed, I use a rubber grub like this. This little grub fixes the Achilles heel of even modern bike gear setups, and it's such a simple thing to fit. I do not understand why all bikes today do not come with it fitted. It would stop so much gear shifting tears and expense. Grubs like this used to come in a kit provided by Gore-Tex called Ride-On Gear Cable Kits many years ago. Unfortunately, they're not available anymore, but I did manage to find an equivalent grub which I still think is available from Trek today. I will leave a link to it in the description below. It is expensive at about £4 for one and then postage on top, but I still highly recommend it. You get it and fit it to your bike to get rid of the shifting gear grief. These grubs are watertight and so can stop gears from freezing up in the winter in zero conditions too. The grubs I have been fitted on many bike builds over the years and they're still going strong. So they do last for quite a long time, and it's very satisfying too when you have a gear setup that has been running for many years without any hitches. In fact, this bike is now 6.5 years old. I've not yet had to replace any part of that rear gear cable. So I hope you liked this video and found it useful. It would help this channel out a lot if you gave it a thumbs up. I plan to make more videos like this on bike maintenance tips I have used over the years. So do hit that subscription button to be sure to turn on notifications and to ensure you do not miss future videos. Oh, and if you're new to this channel, then you may like to know that I also make route description videos which include full routes in 3D, highlighting the single track, gravel and road sections of a route around Scotland. So do go and check them out. Keep well, keep safe, and I'll catch up with you guys next time.